Hey everyone, Greg Lawless and Simon Borg here. And Simon, today is the supplemental draft. 2 p.m. Eastern time. We'll have a live draft tracker here on MLSsoccer.com as well as a live chat. Now, there were lots of players not taken in last week's Super Draft. They're available now to join a team.
Right. For the first year, the Super Draft, just 2 rounds, leaves a lot of players available here, quality players. Some of the names: Evan James from Charlotte, Charles Rodriguez, also from Charlotte, Andy Rose, the holding midfielder from UCLA, and a lot of people high on Tony Walls, the holding midfielder from University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. 4 full rounds. We have a long afternoon ahead of us. 76 picks.
And also, of course, those international players that weren't picked last week in the Super Draft as well. You think about Kohei Yamada, the young Japanese talented player who wasn't picked. Maybe someone takes a flyer on him in this one. But some of the teams already reporting the big news coming out of Montreal. Brian Ching showing up for training and saying all the right things.
Saying all the right things. I have to confess, a little awkward seeing him say these words about, being happy to be in Montreal, being happy about the fans. It comes across differently when you see it on video, and there is the video on the Montreal Impact's website. But he says eventually he does want to return to Houston to retire, but he's going to be a professional and do what he has to do in Montreal.
Well, let's not forget, Simon, last week during Brian Ching's so-called media day, he actually talked about how he didn't want circumstance to dictate his retirement, and he does show up for the Impact's first training session of the preseason. He wasn't the only big name forward that showed up for preseason.
Right. Interesting, Greg, to see Steven Lenhard back in San Jose Earthquakes camp. He is a welcome sight for Frank Yallop, who loves that target forward, loves his work rate. And then just south from San Jose, we have Juan Pablo Angel, still without a contract with Chivas USA, but reporting to camp all the same. He feels it's very important, and he feels a contract is close.
Well, that's a great sign if you're a Chivas USA fan that he shows up even though he doesn't have a contract. Well, we're going to stay out in California in the Home Depot Center. In fact, the U.S. national team is still going through preparations for their big friendly on Saturday against Venezuela, and then next week at Panama, and a big scrimmage today against the U23 team again.
Yeah, it's a repeat of that first game that ended 4-0 for the senior side. Freddie Adu, who was playing for the U23s, the Olympic team, saying that result really didn't reflect what happened on the field then. Let's see if the Olympic team can do better for themselves today.
Well, we have heard that U23 coach Caleb Porter has been putting certain players out of their normal positions. There seems to be a method to the madness, Simon, but I think we'll find out a little later on when qualifying starts in March. Also, some news out of the national team. Stuart Holden showed up, kind of ran around, put on the gear, which was good to see. He's not ready to start playing, but at least it's nice to see him back on the field. Don't forget, later today, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, the supplemental draft live here on MLSsoccer.com, and also the latest edition of ET Radio. Extra Time Radio podcast will be out this afternoon. You can get it on iTunes or Buzzsprout. That's it for the daily. We'll talk to you tomorrow.